Hi, I'm Mark Clegg and welcome to the Lastolite School of Photography, and today we're going to be talking about some flash accessories called the Strobo. They're available in two different styles of kit. One is, as you can see here, it's a direct attachment to it, and one is going to be based on what is now familiar as the Lollipop, which is to do with the EasyBox hot shoes and things really. We're going to kind of look at these each in turn and kind of see their different effects. But they're a kit, so it's kind of once you invest into it, it's not as you've got to add loads of extra accessories in, even though there are a few. They're basically built on, the main things I think for photographers are the honeycombs. Being a familiar and a popular kind of accessory for the photographer who's looking to control the shape and the spread of the light. And we've got two in the kit, one which is a quarter, one which is 3/8. And they're basically giving you a different kind of narrowing of the light. So I always refer to the bigger one as like the beginner. That's where you start, because once you start to control the light, it really kind of disappears. And then you've got kind of the advanced one, which is a very, very tight control of that light source again. These ones are based on kind of a magnetic kind of clip and registration. So it's just kind of clipping them on, and that allows me to pretty much just attach it, then kind of shoot it, and as you can see, it kind of controls that amount of light. There's lots of things that we can do with this, and we're going to look at them a little bit more in depth in a minute. So whether it's a honeycomb, or as you can see on here, we've just attached one of the little gels that comes with the kit as well. So this is a CTO gel, so perhaps I want to work in tungsten light and kind of correct colour. That's when we used a colour correction or a colour effect. Let's not forget that, because we can use that in a great way. I'll show you that when we get out on location with it. And then we've got some kind of extreme colour effects to add tone or a scene, kind of bringing some light to it, but they're more effects filters than colour correction, of course. Then we've got other things like a diffuser, kind of little diffuser kind of palette, and a neutral density as well. And then we've got these stainless steel kind of pattern ones, so watch out for those when we get to use those. So there's simple products. I think we should just take a couple of little minutes just to actually look at each one in turn and just see how it all kind of works together. So let's look at the Lollipop style of the Strobo kit. I think we should just kind of take it apart, see how it comes, because it comes flat packed. So that's brilliant. Then we've got these other little kind of plates, as I mentioned before. They kind of just slip in and out, so if you want a different pattern, let's go with a little kind of a round hole. They're going through the top, which is of course, as we said, the triangle part, and just pushing it in, right the way down, once more, and we're ready to roll. So of course, if the honeycomb was just a little bit tight, you might want to widen that light just a little bit more, and we can just swap that honeycomb across. And it's a great way for us to kind of mix those attachments together, whether it's a colour, correction or effect, as well as kind of the honeycombs or those kind of dramatic shapes that we can see on the other one. So a great little kit. There is an accessory to go alongside it, which is, let me just grab that. It's a barn doors, pretty much one of the only ones on the market, in fact, to have that. And that just clips on to the Lollipop kind of style here. The benefit with the barn doors, with the Lollipop kind of kit, is that we can rotate the barn doors. So of course the barn doors fit onto the other one as well. They just fit in the upright position, of course. It's pretty much square on there. But one of the benefits we've got here is that we've got this little bounce card attachment that comes with the barn doors. It's just tilt our flash gun up and then turn the bounce card to whatever position that we want it to be. And of course, this would be much higher perhaps to actually bounce the light down to give us a real soft. You might have a ceiling that is so high, the kind of the bounce position is going to be no use to you at all. So this is a great way to be able to just give a good frontal flash off camera, just to the side, kind of a softer light coming in from 90 degrees, preferably at 45 degrees to keep that kind of lovely image. But otherwise, a great little accessory to add into the Strobo kit. Whenever we buy any new accessory, the first thing I want to do is actually see how it's going to perform, because I don't want to just play with it when I get out on a job like we'll see us later on when we get on location to use this. We want to see the effects in studio so we can see the spread of the light, the intensity of light, and how the characteristics of the flash are going to change. The flash to background is around about 4 to 4.5 feet, so it gives you a good idea in the distance for the test. So just right above it, and there you can see at f13, that's where I've measured for at this stage, we've got an even light source across the plane that's given us exactly what we anticipated to be a correct exposure on 18% grey. That is giving us a lovely diffused look across it. But for now, what I want to do is just go in straight away and show you the effects of one of the honeycomb. Let's use the bigger one initially. Now I don't need to remeasure the light at this stage because the honeycomb won't lose any of the light. It'll only control its direction. So let's show you that shot. And you can see already how it starts to control that light now into a very, very fine way. But it still is giving us just a heavier vignette on the top. If I use the smaller one though, and we do the same shot again, you can start to see it really starts to change the rectangular shape of the flash. But let's look at kind of the different elements. The first thing would be perhaps is a CTO correction gel. That's one of the things that I use a lot. And they're available within the kit of a full, a half and a quarter, depends on the intensity of the tungsten light within the scene. I'm in flash color mode here, but now you can see the difference of that color. What's happened, of course, is the color of the gel is now matching the tungsten light. So all I would really need to do to correct and use it as a real color is just change into my white balance and go into tungsten mode, and instantly I'm back to pure white light. Let me just switch off that zoom mode for a minute and I'll show it to you again, just so you can get the whole spread of that light again. And you can see that we've got perfect grey. Let's have a little look at the kind of the shape gels. I think the most useful ones, without a doubt, are the two little round apertures, because that is going to control the light to a specific location. We'll shoot that as well. Let's go back to F13 again, because that is the correct exposure without any gels on. And you can see it really gives us a lovely gradation, a roundness to that light. So we've got some other gels in connection with the kit, which is the diffuser, which I think is pretty cool to be honest, and also a two-stop neutral density. This is brilliant when we're trying to really bring down the amount of flash, so we can work in very, very low light conditions. So a useful little tool there. Let's just actually have a little look at the diffuser, but that is a natural vignette coming from that flash. And then we just add that diffuser on the front. We're going to lose a bit of light on that one. Should we measure that a minute? There we go, F5. Shoot the shot. And you can just see from that how lovely diffused. So it's a kind of a quick cheat to be able to move away from a very, very harsh, strong light from the flash gun itself to a little bit more kind of diffused. And let's not forget the accessory. So it's an extra to the kit, of course, which is the barn door, one of my favorite things of the new Strobo kind of family. Shoot that basic for a minute so you can see it. You can start to see how it really does control it. If I narrow down that range there, you can almost imagine a subject in the middle of that light. Now you can see the kind of the patterns there from the top one, but if I want this kind of straight line effect, all I need to do is just take that off, clip it back on again, and use the top guides to control that shape of the beam once more. So I think with that in mind, I mean, we've gone through the kind of the different color effects gels, the color correction gels. Let's not forget to do that accessory. We've got also the bounce card there. But we've got the things like the honeycombs and, of course, some of the masks to allow us to get a little bit more creative with the standard speed light. I think we should get out on location and see the kind of shots we can do with it. So we're out on location. We're at the Photo 20 Chapel, and we'll kind of just set up our Strobo kit to actually give us the kind of looks that we're trying to get within the church. We're going for like a fairy tale, a vintage kind of styling. A Lena model, looking very beautiful. You can relax for a minute. Looking to actually give some kind of little shape. Brilliant because Lena's a gymnast and dancer, so brings a lot more to the party than just a model. So we kind of get that lovely gracefulness as we go through, and that's the kind of the fantasia we're trying to build into the styling of a shoot at times. So what are we doing? First of all, we've got 3 lights set up. My main light is with just a honeycomb for now, even though that is going to have a slight little change soon. The second light, which is our accent light, has got the barn doors and a honeycomb on. Honeycomb to obviously control and direct the light source. The barn doors just to allow it to flag down just a little bit to diffuse the edges, and so it doesn't flare back into camera until I want it to, of course. But as a rule of thumb, of course, a honeycomb will allow light to spread, so it kind of does the job to begin with no matter what. And then in the background, I've got another Strobo with the barn doors on again. I've got a blue gel on that one. Why? Because I want to kind of bring this, bring a kind of a cold, ethereal emptiness to the kind of the shoot. Again, this kind of the fantasy. I could actually add on perhaps an orange or a yellow to give a more of a summery feel. This is the great control about the filtration when we start to use them to light our backgrounds. So I think before I go on too much again, I think we'll just switch off the back two lights, Carl, and let's just show you how we set up each one. I'm using the little radio trigger here to power each, or I should say to trigger each of the flashes. It's very important when I'm working on location not to use flash-to-flash communication, because I could be a long way away from the flashes and I'll never see each other, and then I'm going to spend half my time trying to get a flash to see itself with another flash than kind of going into the radio triggers to begin with. I'm using 400 ISO today. I'm in flash balance to begin with on camera. I'm on 100th f4. And that will just give me enough to, if I want to open up a little bit, perhaps to overexpose an image. This is an f4 lens minimum, so I can't go any lower than that. So it's basically, let's see what each of those lights does. So first of all, we're going to use the main light. Elena, just jump up for me. And even though I'm in camera position's not quite right here, I'll be lower down. You'll see that during the shoot probably. I just want to see where it's going to hit her. Now, if she walks in and out of the light, I've lost her. So it is a static shot, but we want it to make it look like it's going to move. So this is just going to add a 90-degree lighting. We usually talk about 45-degree lighting with portrait photography, of course, but in this case it's a 90-degree light because she's going to be looking off. She's not going to be looking at me at all. So let's see what the accent light first does. Looking off to the side, that's gorgeous. And you can see how it kind of white lights just running down the side. Carl, if you switch that one off for me. Just want to show you what each one of these lights does. And that's the one that's metered fully to give me that f4.5. Then we've got the accent light. Remember, that's the one with the honeycomb and the barn doors. That's to give her accent running down this right-hand side a little bit, and to also add a little bit of kind of flare back to camera when I go into the really wide angle look with it. Switching that one off, and we'll just go to the blue. And when I say switch off, in fact, all Carl's doing is switching off the receiver, so we don't have to go through the setup the whole time. That accent light is running exactly the same power as the main light. Okay, so at least you'll know that when you see the images. And the blue light, again, just looking off towards the side, that's gorgeous, is just that accent, and that gives us that really kind of great glow to an image. Just before we turn all three back on again and I continue on with the shoot, Carl, if you just switch on my main light, please. I'm just going to use these two lights for a second, which is my main light, which is honeycombed, of course, and the blue light behind. So I've got a two light setup going on here. Just a little bit of a playfulness, just looking off toward the side. And again, for me, that's lovely. It's there. Looking the other way for me if you can. That's gorgeous. Relax. And you can see we've got a nice image as it is. One of the things you might look at within the photograph, and the right-hand side here is quite dark. And you might think, well, in fact, I want a little bit more kind of separation in the scene than just a kind of black. We might put a reflector panel up on the side, but pretty much most of the time what I do is, in fact, is move the accent light that we see over there to the opposite side to give us a sandwich lighting technique again. But that'll give you a good idea on how we place the lights and how we use the strobo accessories within the basic setup to get the image. So let me do a few shots here and then I'll show you a quick trick with a CT gel. Excellent, let's do it. Little play, wonderful. Let me just go back a little bit. I need to shoot quite low. It's gorgeous there. Excellent, a little bit more play, it's lovely. And again, excellent. So that's all three of those lights kind of running there. It's great, a little bit more hands higher. Okay, back down with the foot. For me, it looks a little bit angular. Perhaps use the hands on towards the dress, just a little bit of play as if you're kind of skipping along. It's lovely, just relax it. Won't relax. Okay, so we've got a pretty cool image going on there. You can see I've got those lovely the leading lines of the pews as they're going towards her. And if I shot from here, for instance, let me just do a quick pose for me, and I just zoom back. You can see that I might have some stray light coming in from there. But that at times can give us that lovely warmth or an afternoon glow, especially added some kind of yellow gel to that or whatever. Quick trick. Carl, if you pop a CT gel onto there for me, please, which is a tungsten converter. So in other words, what I'm doing is add in a gel in front of the flash that is the same color as a tungsten light. This now allows me to move my color balance from what is flash balance we were in a minute ago, now to tungsten. And what I'm going to do is that if there's any other the daylight coming through the windows, or any white light coming through at all, that white light will appear blue because the tungsten light is yellow, and of course it opposes that, which makes anything now that was white light in daylight now appear blue. So let me get back to my position again. Tip your toes, mate, really tall. Excellent, and again. Excellent, relax. So you can start to see how much of the blue that's coming into all there, a little kind of feeling. So I'm going to finish off here doing some more shots of Elena, all with Strobo kit. I hope you've enjoyed this film. I'm Mark Claiborne from the Lastolite School of Photography. See you on the next one. Bye-bye. It's cool. Just try that headed up. Cool. Can we... That's better. Just bending that knee a little bit more if you can. Excellent. Lower the chin. Happier. Playful. Lower the chin just a little bit. Relax. It's gorgeous, I think. I'll do some close-ups. Yeah, let's do it. Same thing again. Change it. Back to where you were on that kind of strangeness, weirdness. Lower the chin. Looking away from me more. Carl, a little bit. Can you stretch that arm on the ceiling right behind your head for me? Really behind you, so you're almost going to... That's it. Better, yeah. Almost going to arch. Excellent. Keep it. Let's go back to the stood up on the bench. Yeah, it's lovely. Just keep it in there. Looking more towards Carl for me. Let's do it again. Can you just move towards that window edge a little bit more? Use the hands to fiddle with the hair for me a little bit. And the other one. It's gorgeous there. Excellent. Again. And you're done.